and welcome back to the PhatPhish Guitar Studio. I'm Dave, and this video is a bit of a follow-up to a tutorial that I did a few weeks ago entitled What's That Chord? Now in that video I was responding to a question that somebody sent me in talking about a chord that I'd used in another video, and the chord in question was this one, which I explained is a half-diminished or minor 7 flat 5 chord. Now I've got a little bit of discussion going on in comments and follow-up emails and whatnot. People asking, well, if it's built on a diminished triad, why is it not a diminished chord? Why is it only half diminished? So what I thought I'd do in this video is explain the difference between half diminished chords and fully diminished chords and kind of where you would find them in music theory. Now both these types of chord are built on diminished triads. So a diminished triad, so it's got 3 notes in it. Tri meaning 3, and the formula for a diminished triad is 1, flat 3, flat 5. It's that flat 5 that really makes it a diminished triad. It's the interval of a diminished fifth or 6 semitones between the 1 and the flat 5 degree. And it's got the flat 3 in between. So if we think about playing in the key of C, C would be our root or 1 note. 3rd degree of C is E, so the flat 3 would be E flat. And the 5th degree of C is G, so our flat 5th degree would be G flat. That's a C diminished triad, 1, flat 3, flat 5. And the chord that we were talking about in the initial video was a half diminished chord. And a half diminished chord has got the formula 1, flat 3, flat 5, so that's diminished triad, and then it's got a flat 7 on top of it. So if we think about playing the key of C, we have a C, an E flat, a G flat, and a B flat. And there's a useful shape, so we could play this shape here. So that chord there, quite a distinctive sound, minor 7 flat 5 or half diminished. So what about the fully diminished chord? Well, the fully diminished chord is a thing, but it's got a slightly different formula. It's also built on the diminished triad, so 1, flat 3, flat 5. But this chord has actually got a double flat 7 degree. Slightly unusual. Usually when we're making alterations to degrees in chords, it's a simple flat or a simple sharp. This is a double flat. So let's think about what that means in terms of our chord beginning on C. So we've got the 1st degree, which is a C, flat 3rd degree would be E flat, flat 5th degree would be G flat, and the double flat 7 degree would be B double flat. Now that's enharmonically equivalent to A. If you think about it, the 7th degree of C is B. We lower it by a semitone to get to a flat 7 degree, which gives us B flat. And we lower it by another semitone from B flat to B double flat. Now, like I said, that note sounds the same as A, but because we're treating it as the double flat 7th degree of C, we have to talk about it as the 7th type of letter. So the 7th degree of C is B, so double flat 7 is a B double flat. And useful shape for that, just playing on the middle 4 strings again, is this one. As you can hear, that's got a distinctive sound as well. So if you compare the difference between the fully diminished chord and the half diminished chord. Fully diminished, half diminished. Yeah, so there's a difference in sound. That 1 semitone difference on the between the flat 7 and the double flat 7 degree makes all the difference. So where would you come across these chords? Well, if you've done any chord theory, you might have come across some of these before. The half diminished chord occurs as the 7th chord of the major scale, or as the 2 chord of the natural minor. It also occurs as the 2 chord of the harmonic minor. And if you looked at the melodic minor, it occurs as the flat 6 or the 7th chord in the melodic minor. The fully diminished chord, you'd find that as the 7th chord of the harmonic minor. One interesting thing I want to point out about the fully diminished chord though, and it's all to do with the way that the notes are separated. If you look at the intervals between them, So sticking with C, the interval between C and E flat, the first flat third degree, is 3 semitones. The distance between the E flat and the G flat, the flat third to the flat fifth degree, is 3 semitones. The distance from G flat to B double flat is 3 semitones, and the distance between B double flat and C is also 3 semitones. It's a very symmetrical chord. So what that means is if you look at that chord there, that C fully diminished chord, it's got the notes C, E flat, G flat and B double flat in it. Okay, so let's look at this chord shape again, but assume that a different note is actually the root note. So instead of this note here at the 3rd fret on the 5th string, the C as being the root note, let's say that this note here, the 4th fret on the 4th string, G flat. Let's say that this is the root note of the chord. So if this is the root note, the 1 degree, what's the flat 3 degree of G flat? Well, the 3rd degree of G flat would be B flat. We want the flat 3rd degree, so that would be B double flat, and we've got a B double flat here at the 2nd fret on the 3rd string. Flat 5th degree of G flat, well, the 5th degree of G flat would be D flat. Flat 5th degree then would be D double flat, and we've actually got equivalent of a D double flat here, the 3rd fret on the 5th string. We were playing it as a C before, calling it a C, but it's the same as a D double flat because it's a D taken down 2 semitones to a D double flat. And lastly, the double flat 7th degree. Well, the 7th degree of G flat is F, so the flat 7th degree would be F flat, double flat 7th degree would be F double flat. And we've got that here at the 4th fret on the 2nd string. We were calling it an E flat before, but it's the same as an F double flat. If you think that that's an F here at the 6th fret on the 2nd string, F flat at the 5th fret, so F double flat at the 4th fret. We called it E flat before, but E flat is enharmonically equivalent to F double flat. So that same chord shape, we're calling it a C diminished before, it's also a G flat diminished. It's also an A diminished. We treat that note there as being the root note. It's also an E flat diminished if we take that note as being the root note. So there, that one shape is effectively giving you 4 different chords depending on which one of the notes you're treating as being your root note, being your reference point. And the names of the notes might vary from one chord to another. Like I said before, we're treating one note as E flat when we treat it as the C diminished chord, or we treated it as an F double flat when we're treating it as a G flat diminished chord. But the same shape yields 4 different chords within the notes named differently depending on what your reference point is. Okay, so hopefully that's cleared up some of the confusion on the difference between half-diminished chords and fully diminished chords. I think perhaps that's one of the reasons why people sometimes refer to the half-diminished chord as minor 7 flat 5, because it's a much clearer way of naming it. It stops you thinking too much about it being a diminished chord. It's minor 7 flat 5. It's exactly what that formula says. It's a 1, flat 3, flat 5, flat 7. It's a minor 7 chord with a flat 5th degree. Just a naming convention. But both types of chord well worth being familiar with and including them in your chord parts and your compositions, and is arpeggios as well in your lead lines. It's having a bit more variety instead of just playing the usual major minors and so on. Having a richer chord vocabulary and arpeggio vocabulary makes your playing more varied, more interesting. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. If you did, please click like. If you really enjoyed it, please click subscribe if you want to see future videos that I do, or leave a comment down there as well. If you've got a question for a future video though, rather than leaving it in a comment, you're probably better off going here, filling in the form and sending a question in that way, and I'll try and get around to answering it in a future video. If you leave a question in the comments section, YouTube's not particularly good at letting me know when people leave comments, so I might not see your question. Sending it in via that form is much more reliable. And while you're there, have a browse around the PhatPhish website. If you haven't already got it, download a copy of PhatPhish for yourself, as well as having all the scales in there. It's also got an arpeggio mode, so you can start to visualise arpeggios like half-diminished and fully diminished in different places on the neck to help you get familiar with how you might want to play those in any given key. Okay, that's all for now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in another video next time. Bye for now.